Tom Morgan almost with the strike. Dave misses the head pin, does not convert.
Missed that object pin, which Doug was alluded to, the head pin. Spare for Tom Morgan, though, and that'll be a skin for him.
And a $10 for Dave Richards. So Joe and Tom continue to do all the winning here in terms of the skins. They each have 2 to this point. Box number 5 is worth $25.
Hang on.
Jim off target with that first ball, but not too bad.
He's got the 2 and 7. Looks a lot easier than it is, but with the angle that Wood out in front, could have trouble with that 7 pin. Although now there's a second piece behind. Jim Woodsum got a good break off the head pin. 1, 2, 3, and 5 left.
Yes.
The second piece of wood really helped him.
And a spare for Jim Woodsum, his first, as he converts the diamond.
Well, will we have our first carryover?
Jim got a big breakdown on that first ball, leaving just the diamond.
Made it pay, or made it count, I should say. It's going to take a strike now to win the skin outright, or we'll have our first carryover.
Tom Morgan working on a spare.
One down. Dave needs to throw a strike or we carry over. And we will have our first carryover.
Tom Morgan taking the lead in total pinfall with that fill, and he almost converts it. Dave Richards for his spare, and he's got it. First mark for Dave Richards. And a $10 for Tom Morgan, and that brings us to our first break. We will take a break right here and come back with more on Candlepin Skins from Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill. Don't go away. Jim Woodsum on your left, Joe Rollins on the right, and it'll be Jim Woodsum to go first in box number 6, which is worth $50 on a carryover. And Jim is working on a spare, and he will take 8. Joe Rollins also on a spare, and he will also take 8.
Not sure I like his 8, though. Jim's got the 7 and the 8 pins, but a lot of lumber out in front. Oh, leaves the 7.
Seems hard to believe that that wouldn't go, but it did not. Let's see what Joe can do with his. He's going to try and spray this wood, and that pin will not count. Jim going for the 10, and he's got it. The best Joe Rollins can do now is a 9. And he takes that $9. So a $50 skin, and no marks up on the board yet.
And remember, this is a carryover.
Dave Richards will be first, and he is filling a spare here. And he gets the big strike. First strike of the day. And
Tom needs a strike to carry it over.
Almost.
That close to another carryover.
So give the $50 skin to Dave Richards, his first of the day. Tom studying this one to try and convert for a spare.
Oh, he slides by on the left on the 5 pin.
Well, Dave Richards had a slow start, was open through the first 4 boxes, but now he's gone spare strike, and that's been good enough to give him the lead in the match.
And here's a replay of that strike, just tripping the 6 pin. Joe Rollins a little off target to the right. Lane number 3, Jim Woodsum. Also off target, but look at the break. The head pin was the next to the last pin to go down. Leaves himself the 7-pin, piece of wood in front, another couple pieces way out in front.
Let's see what Jim does on this one. He'll play all the wood and uses it for the spare. Joe Rollins with a nice bailout ball there gets a 9. This is a $30 skin here in the 7th box. Tom Morgan straight through the heart. Dave Richards on his strike, and he is straight through the heart also. Exact same lead. Something tells me Jim Woodsum will win this skin, and he will. Tom Morgan takes an 8. So does Dave Richards, and the $30 skin goes to Jim Woodsum, his first. So everybody is on the board with skins winnings here, just 7 boxes into the match. The 8th frame now also worth $30. Remember, 2 competitions going on at once here. The prize money is determined by the skins, but the total pinfall determines whether you get to come back or not. The first and second place bowlers in total pinfall get to come back next week. A couple of spare leaves here. And Jim misfires.
Watch out, he's going to get it, though.
Coming back, he gets it.
Oh, wow, what a break there for Jim Woodsum.
Joe Rollins on the single with a blocker, and the blocker cost him.
How much justice is there between those 2 bowlers? Jim missing it entirely, getting the spare, and Joe has a nice 9-pin drop, but Wood blocked his shot on the 9-pin. Take a look at the spare. Misses the head pin. Wood comes off the sidewall, comes back, and I think he's going to take a little ribbon if he wins the skin with that shot.
It's a $30 skin. Dave Richards will have the diamond.
Oh boy.
Tom Morgan goes half Worcester left.
Somebody has to convert a spare here to carry it over. Well, 1 down, and Tom has got to convert the half Worcester, or Jim Woodsum will win that skin, and he does.
It's a $30 skin for Jim Woodsum. He's now the leading money winner with $60 to this point. 10 for Dave, 9 for Tom. The 9th box is also worth $30, and you can tell we haven't really talked too much about total pinfall. It's early, but got a terrific 4-way battle going here, as there is not much to choose among the 4 scores here right now.
Joe left that ball out to the left, and you can actually see his follow-through come across his body. He knew it was out to the left, and he tried to pull it back, but leaves himself the 4 horsemen to the right, plus the 7 and 8. And Jim Woodsum's looking at the 3, 6, and 7. Piece of wood in between should help.
Nice shot. He's got it. 3 in a row for Jim Woodsum. 4 out of the last 5, as he has really come alive here. Joe Rollins. Not much he could do with that. He gets out of it with a 7. There's a look at Jim Woodsum, and here's his spare.
All he really had to do was concentrate on the 3 and 6 pins. That wood was going to take the 7. So if one of these bowlers, Tom or Dave, is going to win the skin, and they need a strike.
And a backdoor strike for Tom Morgan. He'll steal the skin unless Dave Richards can match it.
Took it away from him.
That creates a carryover.
And all of a sudden, Dave has 2 more friends in Jim and Joe.
And now all of a sudden, after a single carryover, the next skin is worth $105.
This is what the skins is all about. You want those carryovers, the increase in value, and the ball gets a little, the grip gets a little tighter on the ball, and the throat gets a little drier. Both bowlers got spare leaves. Jim, the 2 and 4.
Oh, another mark. That's 4 marks in a row for Jim Woodsum. And Joe has run into a little dry spell here. He had 3 marks in the first 5, but he hasn't had one since. And it appears that Joe will be in fourth position going into game 2, as he will finish up with a 105. Jim Woodsum has to stay up there to fill this spare in the 10th. Remember, this fill has nothing to do with the skin. Only the spare counts toward the skin. But it is a 5 fill, and Jim Woodsum with a 132 opening game after a slow start.
Look back on that one spare, that lucky spare he got, and it just seemed to light a fire under him, and he finished with 4 in a row. Dave Richards, Tom Morgan, both looking for at least a spare.
And both working on strikes here.
Well, neither of them's got an easy shot.